have you join us for April's Cookbook Corner, where we're going to be making black bean burgers from Vegan at Times by Jessica Seinfeld. We picked this recipe to kind of honor Earth Day since it is April. A lot of vegan recipes are a little bit more responsible for conservation and not contributing to the mass meat market that we've got in this country. So for today's recipe, we're going to be using black beans, 15.5-ounce can. Mine's actually a 15.25 ounce. I figured that 0.25 ounces probably wouldn't make too much of a difference. We're also going to be using roasted unsalted sunflower seeds, some cumin, some green onions or scallions, a half a red bell pepper, some chili powder. The recipe calls for chipotle powder, but I could not find any, so I looked up an alternative, and you can use smoked paprika. So that is what we are using today. I also substituted parsley for the cilantro because I am one of those people that it tastes like soap, and that did not sound delicious in my black bean burgers. You're also going to need some extra virgin olive oil, some salt, and some pepper, and last but not least, some cooked and cooled quinoa. We are going to get started building our black bean burgers. You are going to need a food processor for this. I've got our magic bullet because the actual food processor was not available. So you're going to put your 15.5-ounce can of black beans that you have drained and rinsed. And I am trying not to make a mess, so this is going to be a bit of a slow process. So we've got our 15.5-ounce can of black beans drained and rinsed, and then 1/4 cup of roasted unsalted sunflower seeds. We're going to get our lid on, and you're going to pulse these until they are chopped pretty finely, but you do not want like a smooth paste or anything. I'm going to give it a shake. You are going to have a hard time getting those black beans to move down. All right, we got our beans and sunflower seeds run through the food processor, and we are going to now add basically the rest of our ingredients to our bowl. So we've got our 1.25 cups of quinoa that has been cooked and allowed to completely cool. We've got our red bell peppers, which was a half of a red bell pepper, cored, seeded, and then diced into about 1/4 inch slices. And then we've got our green scallions, our parsley instead of cilantro, and then we are going to add our seasonings. So we've got our chili powder, our smoked paprika, our cumin. So we are going to do 1.5 teaspoons of the chili powder. There's our 1. There's our 1/2. And then we are going to do 1/4 teaspoon of the chipotle powder. It's such a pretty red. Or the smoked paprika, I'm so sorry. And then we're gonna do 1/2 teaspoon of the ground cumin. And our salt, I typically eyeball salt. It's about 1/2 teaspoon. So I like to just give it a couple of turns with the grinder. And then we are gonna mix these together. And once you've gotten it all mixed together, that'll be when you start to form your patty. We have got our black bean patty mixture all together, and so now we are gonna get started making our patties. The recipe calls for 4 1/4 inch thick patties. We are doing a potluck today for work, so we are actually going to be making sliders. So we'll be making them a little bit smaller than a full hamburger. So I've gone for about this size patty. We're sticking with the thickness. And we are just gonna keep making some patties. We're hoping for about 8. I'm gonna see if I can squeeze out 10, but I'm really probably gearing for 8. And it is a nice messy mixture, so this is another one of those moments where if you don't like getting your hands dirty, I would absolutely recommend wearing gloves. I'm looking forward to these because I've actually never had a homemade black bean burger. I've only had the ones that come in restaurants or the frozen ones you can buy from the store. So I'm excited to see what some homemade ones taste like. You absolutely don't have to be as much of a perfectionist. They don't have to be perfectly round. I'm probably spending a little more time than I should. We have got our patties made and these bad boys are ready to cook. So we are gonna get them in the skillet. Hear the sizzle starting. All right, so we are getting our burgers in the skillet. Got our 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, nice and hot. And again, the recipe says to make 4 patties. So we are doing sliders, so we ended up making 9. And so we're gonna cook them for just a little less time. The recipe says 4 to 5 minutes each side. We're gonna do probably 3 minutes each side. We're just gonna let those cook for a minute. When we serve them, the recipe says that you can use avocado or pico de gallo, shredded romaine lettuce. I chose to go with avocado and some pico de gallo, but you can absolutely use whatever you think would taste best with these. I've had some roasted corn salsa and different things. It doesn't call for cheese. It is a vegan recipe, so if you want to add cheese, I would just recommend if you're going to stick with the vegan aspect, make sure you grab some vegan cheese. All right, we've got our final product, our black bean burgers. I will warn you, these are not firm. They don't hold their shape very well. They're super fragile, so be very careful when you're flipping them in the skillet and taking them out of the skillet and honestly plating them. They smell delicious and I can't wait to dig in. We're so glad you joined us for April's Cookbook Corner, where we made black bean burgers from Vegan at Times by Jessica Seinfeld. Again, I know I warned you about this earlier, but I'm just going to give a reminder. These are very fragile, so be very careful when you're cooking them and when you are plating them. Join us for next month's Cookbook Corner and be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on our future videos.